So understanding supply and demand zones will help us to trade with confidence when we are in the markets. Okay. So now let's first see what we understand in the supply or a demand zone. Sorry, supply zone. It is when a price is it is a price area where selling pressure is strong and it potentially leads to a price drop. Okay, so when the selling pressure is really strong, potentially leading to a price drop. Okay, so now always we find supply zone in the bearish trend. When the market is bearish, that is when we find what we call a supply zone, guys. Okay, so now for example, this is our market. We shall consider like two things before looking for a zone, either demand or supply. The first thing we have to look for the trend. Is the market in a bearish trend or it is in the bearish trend? Now, for example, this is our bearish trend market. Okay, so now always, always when we talk about a trend or a bearish trend, a bullish trend. Now, for the bearish trend, we always consider this a break of market structure to the downside. Okay, I think that one you can see it. So now, always when we are in a bearish trend, we shall look for the break of market structure as the market broken to the upside or it has broken to the downside. Okay, so now after looking for the break of market structure, always we shall find what we call a supply zone above here. Okay, because now there should be a very strong selling pressure. Okay, so now as you can see, this is a selling pressure right here leading to a drop. Now always we shall the market always comes to the supply zone, okay, before it drops again and again and again. So now also when you look for another break of market structure, you shall find that you find your supply zone up here, right? So your supply zone always will be there. So now always we shall be looking for that. Now for the case of a demand zone now, right? For the case of a demand zone, a price area where buying pressure is strong, potentially leading to a price rise. Okay, like where buying pressure is strong. Now we find demand zones in the bullish trend, right? So always we look for demand zones in the bullish trend, guys, right? So now if this is our bullish trend, it is making higher highs and higher lows, right? So now when we look for the break of market structure on our chart, right? So now for example, if this is our break of market structure, the upside, always you shall find your supply zone in the discount level, right? You shall find your supply zone in the discount level. Or is we sell from the supply zone and we buy from the demand zone, right? We sell from the supply zone and we buy from the demand zone. That's one you have to be knowing it. Okay. So now let's consider our example here. Let's go to our example and we see, right? Let's first see an example of a supply zone, right? How do we identify the supply zone? That yes, this is our supply zone. This was a bearish trend. Okay, so now let's see how this trend moves. Now you can see, okay, you can see that there was a very strong buying pressure. Okay, you can see that there was a very strong buying pressure. Why? Because now it is a bullish trend. Because of this, it broke this what this lower high, okay, that was here, that one, it broke it, then making it to turn to bullish. Okay, so now as you can see right here, then we have got another break of market structure. After getting another break of market structure, what should we look at, right? We look for another demand zone where the market will buy from. Okay, so now this video will help you to understand how we look for a demand zone and supply zone. Demand zone, we always look for it after seeing a very strong, okay, looking for a very strong buying pressure, a very strong buying pressure. Okay, now as you can see here, guys, right, this was a very strong buying pressure right here. Okay, so this was a very strong buying pressure because of these bullish candles. Okay, these bullish candles, that's why you saw the market coming back always after identifying that yes, there was a very strong bullish buying pressure there, then which is a demand zone. You can also call it an order block, but Here we are looking for a demand zone. Okay, that is the demand zone. After identifying a very strong buying pressure, always we have to look for those zones where there has been a stronger buying pressure or selling pressure. Okay, so now that is a demand zone. That's why you saw here the market came back and bought from there. Okay, so now the same thing here. Let's wait for it because of this. You see these bullish candles, or these bullish candles that have been showed here. After this, can you see this? Can you see this buying pressure, guys? Because of these consecutive bullish candles, that's why now we are waiting for the market to come in our discount level where we can find our demand zone to buy from. Okay, so now here we have our demand zones right here. Okay, always this demand zone, it is formed uh, at the start of this bullish trend. Okay, hope you can see that at the start of this buying pressure. Remember, this candle is the one that started this. This candle is the one that started this bullish pressure here, this buying pressure. The candle, it is right here. It is the one we mark as our demand zone, right? Where the buying pressure started from. So it is the one we mark as our demand zone, and we wait for the market to come and tap there. Okay, when it doesn't come, we look for another one. But now you can see, right? You can see that the market came back. It is right here. You can see that the market came back and tapped into that, right? After the market tapping into that, you can see now, okay? You can see how it bought again. You always have to look for those candles, for the candle that started the buying pressure or the selling pressure for the case of the supply zone. Okay, so now here we had another break of market structure, right? So now also you can look for the candle that started the buying pressure right here. For example, now this is the candle here. You can see that this was a buying pressure right here. These 1, 2, 3, 4 consecutive bullish candles. But now this one, it was the opposite candle. It was bearish candle where it started buying from. Okay, so now we can consider that as our demand zone. Okay, sometimes it will be passed because now sometimes the market might turn from being bullish to bearish. Now, for example, here we are bullish for some time. Okay, we are bullish for some time. Then this was a low right here. This was a low right here. Okay, this was a low right here. So when this low is broken, we shall turn bearish. As you can see, this low was broken though with a wick, but we also consider that as a break of structure or a market structure shift, right? So now, for example, when it turns bearish, now we have to look for a supply zone. Okay, so now, for example, now that is a market structure shift. When now it has turned bearish. When it turns bearish, we look for supply zone. And we say the supply zone is a price where selling pressure is strong, potentially leading to a pricey drop. Okay. Now here we look for the strong selling pressure. Now, for example, this is where the market started selling massively. This is where it started selling massively. You can mark it. You can mark it here, and you see whether the market will come back there. Okay, because it is where the market started selling massively, right? But now it has been used as liquidity. But also there was this zone here that also you can mark it as a supply zone right here, because also there is that selling pressure that you can consider, right? Okay, hope you can see when the market reached there, you can see the reaction it has done. Okay, you can see the reaction, guys. It has sold massively, right? It has sold massively. Why did we mark those zones? Okay, why did we mark those zones? Why? Because now we have these 1, 2, 3 candles. We have these 1, 2, 3 candles. Let me show you. We had this, right? So it started from here. You can see this was a rally, right? This was a rally. It sold like 1, 2, 3, 4 candles, and they were bearish candles, right? Also here there was this zone that it sold. You can also mark it. Okay, so now there were 2 zones that we're looking at. So now that was a supply zone. Now this one, it has broken another structure. Now we are bearish. We have turned from bullish to being bearish, right? So now you also mark this. You also mark this break of market structure now. Okay, you also mark this break of market structure. Then here we look for where the market has sold massively. We mark that and we wait for the market to come back and tap there, right? You can see this massive selling pressure, and it sold from here. The massive selling pressure started from there. Okay, you mark it where it has started from. You mark that. Okay, and also we have another zone right here. Okay, we have another zone right here. There was a massive selling pressure right there, and it made that supply zone. Let's see whether the market will come back and tap there. Can you see? The first zone was used as liquidity. You see this when it came to this zone, because there was this massive selling pressure. That candle, that selling candle, making it a supply zone. That means someone would just enter from here, right? You put your stop loss right. You put your TP right here. Your stop loss above that candle, right? You can see, right? Okay, so now let's see how the market plays out, guys, right? So there was another break of market structure right here. You also mark it. You also mark this break of market structure right here. Okay, hope you're seeing it, guys. Can you see the examples I always follow when marking demand and supply zones? Okay, so let's wait for it. Now created another another break of market structure right here. Okay, then after creating that break of market structure, we look for the massive selling pressure. Where has it sold massively, guys? There was this 1 2 candles, but they were very big candles. That means we'd use this as a supply zone right here. This is one zone we would look at. Okay, that's the first zone we would look at, right? And wait, another zone we would look at, it is here, because also there was that selling pressure right there. Okay, with another zone. Okay, always you have to go to your lower time frame, use for entry, and you look for confirmation. Just here I'm showing you how to identify supply and demand zones. Also there was those 3 zones. Okay, so let's wait for the market to go back and tap there. We see how we can go with this, right? Okay, guys, so now it seems that it used this first one, right? It used this first one as a supply zone before it went down, right? Before it makes another break of market structure, right? You can see it used this. Guys, I'm not showing you the entry techniques. You have to always look for where to enter from on your lower time frame. When the market taps your supply to demand zone, you have to always look for confirmation from your lower time frame, guys. It created another supply zone right here. This is a supply zone. Why? Because there was a selling pressure right there. This was a supply zone because of this selling pressure right here that was here. Okay, because now it bought here. You see how it sold massively here, guys. You see how it sold massively, creating a supply zone. Okay,